Greetings, Gemini and Gemini rising. This is your Western forecast for May 2024. There's a 5-planet lineup in Taurus. Taurus is an earth sign. Taurus is about financial security. It's really focusing on economics for the whole world. But Taurus is the sign prior to Gemini. It's the shadow sector of the chart. But because Jupiter, expansive Jupiter, that's been in Taurus for the last 12 months, is going into Gemini May the 25th for the next 12 months, I know that a lot of opportunities for advancement and luck is wanting to start to open up for you. So having this major emphasis in Taurus, in the sign of Taurus, in your shadow sector, is telling me that most of you are behind the scenes building a solid foundation to launch into a new direction, a new business, a new job. That could be that heavy 12th house, that behind the scenes, could be ideal for research, for studying, for just developing any long-term project behind the scenes. And then when the sun leaves Taurus and leaves the 12th house and it goes into the first house of visibility, and then Venus, that planet of desire and creativity and socializing, goes into Gemini on the 23rd, once a year. Venus in Gemini, you'll be more popular, you'll be more social. And then, of course, expansive Jupiter goes into Gemini once every 12 years on May the 25th. So there's something you're establishing and building behind the scenes that is going to start really propelling you in some positive new directions by the end of May, but certainly unfolding into the next year because of Jupiter. Well, there's a lot more to break down, but before I get how this all applies to you more individually, if you enjoy these kinds of videos and would like to see more of them, click like and subscribe. And don't forget to click on the notification bell so you can receive the latest postings. And if you go into the description box underneath the video, you'll find direct links to sign up for my free daily message or to book an astrology reading. But before I get into how many wonderful opportunities for growth and luck when Jupiter goes into Gemini at the end of this month, I want to just talk a little bit about that 5-planet lineup in your 12th house. I've given you the best case scenario because of the Jupiter going into Gemini later this month. But there's still going to be an emphasis on the 12th house, which can be very challenging. Some of you may be feeling really stuck or depressed. I think that's going to be a small minority. But when the 12th house is highlighted, there's a real need for introspection, for spiritual exploration, and very positive for deep healing, spiritual growth, and inner transformation. And it can certainly cultivate a greater sense of peace, compassion, and spiritual connection. Now, if you've been feeling really stuck and blocked or depressed, spiritual practices can really help. But if you're getting into charity, helping those less fortunate, that's a spiritual practice. That will help you come out of the shadows. But because of that lucky expansive Jupiter going into Gemini once every 12 years on May the 25th for 1 year, I think that heavy 12th house was most of you either studying to get the degree, to get the certification so you can get a better job and make more money, or you are building a business and it's ready to be launched. Now, today, it could even, nowadays, could be an online business. However, whatever this is what you are developing and building, you're ready to start really thinking about launching it when the Jupiter goes into Gemini on May the 25th. Plus the Sun will go into Gemini on May the 20th, and pleasurable Venus will go into Gemini on May the 23rd. So you're going to go from the shadow into the light, but with all that, these very favorable energies of the Sun, which like how you light up, what gives you confidence, align with social, creative, loving Venus, popular Venus, and expansive, lucky Jupiter, all in Gemini, on your sun sign or rising sign, all focused on the first house of visibility, leadership, and new beginnings. So some of these things with the Jupiter in Gemini could be really favorable for an online business or any kind of marketing and publishing, and starting a major new venture with it. Because the Jupiter, especially in Gemini, Gemini is an intellectual sign. Gemini is always about learning, communication, selling, and that Jupiter brings a lot of abundance and opportunities. And so for Gemini, Gemini rising every 12 years when Jupiter goes into Gemini, there's so many ways that can bring opportunities and abundance for you. Some of you may be deciding to go back to school or get more professional training to secure your long-term future. But Jupiter is also about teaching, and teaching falls under the same influence as publishing and marketing. So you could, whatever you've been building behind the scenes, that first part of May, this Jupiter in Gemini, enhanced with the Sun putting a spotlight on it, pleasurable, sociable Venus putting a spotlight on the Jupiter. Whatever you're building, it's ready to be released. Now, it doesn't have to, not everybody is going to start their own business or start an online business, because that Jupiter is all about selling and communications anyhow. You could be getting a new job. You could be getting a promotion. But I would think with everything in the 12th house earlier, that was the waiting game. Now, some of you, that's you are studying and you're preparing to get that degree, that certification. But others, you could have been interviewing for a new job or a major work project, and you got to go through all the hoops, and all the interviews and the waiting game. And by the end of May is when you get the green light. Now, Mars is the ambitious, assertive warrior planet. Mars is in Aries once every 2 years, all of May through the first week of June. The Mars is in your 11th house. The 11th house still tells me two things. The 11th house can be friendships, associates. You could be very active, Mars, doing a lot of networking with groups and associates to really be helping you put all this project together. On a separate level, the 11th house also deals with your long-range goals. And with Mars in assertive Aries, you could be feeling really ambitious and driven to work on achieving long-range goals. And those 5 planets in Taurus, you are really building it and establishing it to start to be released, the debut of all of this by the end of May going into June. Now, this is part of the forecast where I want to look at how these energies are impacting your body, your relationships, your business. Well, with all those planets in the 12th house, usually you're feeling stuck, your energy is low. But I think because of Jupiter going into Gemini, a lot of you are just burning the candles at both ends. Having two jobs or on the side, learning or building a new business platform. So you're just kind of tired. But when the sun, which can also represent all that physical vitality, goes into Gemini, May the 20th, and will be there for 4 weeks, you're going to be feeling more energized, more robust, having the energy to really start pushing all these new ventures out to the world. And Gemini, well, having Jupiter going into Gemini, into your first house of the physical body, that Jupiter just brings all this protection and expansion and abundance. Really good for exercising. Now, when it comes to relationships, Venus, that planet of love, in camaraderie and peace and desire, Venus in Gemini from May the 23rd for several weeks, once a year, is really favorable for meeting new people, socializing more, falling in love with somebody new, or bringing more love and romance into an existing relationships, especially the day that Venus goes into Gemini on the 23rd, because that's when we're having the full moon on the 23rd in Sagittarius, which falls in your 7th house of relationships. So the new moon on May the 7th in Taurus was in the shadows. Maybe you were feeling lonely or frustrated because maybe it was just you're so busy you can't get out there and socialize as much as you like. But then the sun goes into Gemini on the 20th. On the 23rd, social Venus goes into Gemini on the same day of the full moon. The full moon brings a lot of emotional emphasis to the surface, and it's falling in your 7th house of relationships. Now, a completely different point of view here is that 12th house, you might be in the shadows, that secret unrequited desire and love for another. That being in the love planet Venus in the 12th house, you may be keeping it secret. You might be, keeping it very private. And then you have the confidence to reveal it when the Venus goes into Gemini and it's the full moon in your 7th house of relationships. Or just generally, you might have been swamped with work, no time to really socialize and enjoy yourself. And then with the full moon and social Venus going into the Gemini, you're ready to go bring more balance, more enjoyment socially into your love life. And it's really favorable for taking romance to the next level, becoming infatuated, or bringing more romance back into an existing relationship. And with business, I've already talked about how all those planets in Taurus in your 12th house, but especially because lucky expansive Jupiter is leaving the 12th house and going to the 1st house of visibility and new undertakings, that most of you are building and developing some major project. Well, that could be a new online business or opening up a store, or studying, passing the test to be able to get certifications, to get degrees. That's so you can start these all new beginnings when the Sun, Venus, and Jupiter goes into Gemini into your 1st house. And with the new moon in Taurus, May the 7th, and it's influenced by progressive liberating Uranus, and the Sun in Taurus is going to cross over Uranus this month for the last time in the sign of Taurus. It'll happen again next May. The last time will be after that. But anyhow, that putting a spotlight of the sun on liberating progressive Uranus, the new moon, crossing over Uranus, there could be a real emphasis on how to achieve more personal freedom with work, or doing a lot of studying behind the scenes to learn new skills, but especially with Uranus, new technological skills. Or psychologically, it's about freedom and a strong desire to get away from being an employee where you might have been feeling in the shadows and stuck, and now you can quit your job and start, your own business, or start working in that direction and start feeling it's really possible by the end of May. That could be about just doing your own thing, which is Uranus. Or Uranus is doing something very inventive, progressive, and innovative, usually something around technology, which could be very favorable for an online business, because that's using all the internet and all this technology. I want to thank you for watching. If you like information on how to book an astrology reading or to sign up for my 2-question offer, visit my website at gardino.go. That's .co. Until next month, be safe and well.